Welcome to Podcast of All Podcasts. Enjoy best moments of podcast history.
Queens of the Stone Age. Jordan Peterson with Malcom Gladwell.
Not by no means all of them, but there's a significant faction.
Yeah, well, the question there, I guess, in part is why? I mean, one of the things that really struck me as I've gone through this material over the last years is that this is really good news. Particularly, it doesn't really matter whether you're on the left or the right. If you're on the left, you think that the fact that the poorest of the poor are being lifted out of their absolute abject misery at a rate that's just, I don't think you could hope for a faster improvement, no matter how optimistic you were. And then on the right, of course, the fact that the benefits of liberal democracy, let's say, and free markets are driving this in large part, you'd think would also be a cause for celebration. So there's the you talked about the availability heuristic and some of the role that the press might be playing, the fact that negative events stand out. We can also see negative events all over the world now. So we can't think of all over the world whenever you hear about a negative event. It's as if it's happening next door and is a threat. So the breadth of our news is exaggerated and the coverage is exaggerated. But there still seems to me to be this mystery at the bottom of all this, which is in the face of such radically good news, why is there such an insistence that the system is corrupt, that we're going to hell in a handbasket, and that human beings are a cancer on the planet and everything is heading towards the apocalypse? It's so deep, and it doesn't seem to be moved by the facts much. I kind of think sometimes that it's a hangover from the Cold War, that was so deeply pessimistic for so long.
It goes back before the Cold War. Certainly, as a psychological syndrome, it goes back at least to the Old Testament prophets, who combined kind of social criticism with foretelling an apocalyptic disaster. So that syndrome, that combination of moral scolding with predictions of doom, is something that our species quite naturally falls into. Mm-hmm. Part of it is, I think, frankly, a certain amount of interprofessional competition, that society has various elites. There's the politicians, the business people, the military, the religious elites, the academics, the journalists. They're always kind of competing for status. And since intellectuals don't deserve a whole lot of credit for getting society to run, for putting food in the stores and keeping the peace and protecting the streets, it's very easy to look down on other societal elites, on government, on business, and to say, well, you guys are all failing and we're the ones who are morally refined enough to point it out. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't put down just sheer human competitiveness. I'm not the first to say this. One of my favorite explanations of the veneration of the past, of golden ages, comes from Thomas Hobbes, who said, "Competition of praise inclineth to a reverence of antiquity, for men contend with the living, not with the dead."
Yeah, well, it also seems that there's a certain amount of resentment that is driving that as well, and that would go along with the status competition, because there's anger, I suppose, if you're the member of an elite group, to see that your paradigm, let's say, isn't leading the charge forward.
That's right. And you talked about the astonishing decline in global poverty. And part of that story is it did not come about through massive redistribution, which for many people on the left was the only route to lifting up the poor, namely to redistribute resources. Now, there have been, of course, adjustments, even shocks. The fact that China and India and Bangladesh and Indonesia have risen out of poverty came in part at the expense of manufacturing jobs in the United States.
Yeah.
That's not exactly what people meant by redistribution, and it literally isn't redistribution of resources, although it is a shaking up of the economies of many nations. But this massive increase in the wealth of Asian countries did not come because resources were shipped from the wealthy West to the impoverished East.
Right, so that's also a threat to the doctrine itself, a direct threat. The fact that wealth is being produced and it's being distributed to people at the low end implies that redistributive philosophy is likely in error. And you can understand why that might be regarded as a catastrophic threat, particularly to people on the radical left.
Well, certainly for radical notions of redistribution. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the more limited kinds of redistribution that are ubiquitous in wealthy countries. I have a graph showing that the proportion of GDP allocated to social spending skyrocketed in the 20th century from about 1% to about 22% mm-hmm. in every developed country, no exceptions. And thanks to spending on the poor, on children, on the sick, on the unlucky, rates of absolute poverty have fallen in wealthy countries. So not only has the developing world become wealthier, and not at the directly at the expense of the developed world, but within the developed world, thanks to some amount of social spending, I guess you could call it redistribution, even as inequality has risen, poverty has not.
Right. I wonder, I was just reading a book by Walter Scheidel called The Great Leveler.
Yeah, very good. Excellent book.
It is an excellent book. And one of the things he did was an empirical analysis of left versus right-wing governments, I think across the 20th century, but it might have gone farther back than that, to see if there was any difference in the Gini coefficient across the classes of government. And what he found was that there was no difference whatsoever. And he makes a fairly strong case that the only redistributive techniques that work are pestilence and war, essentially, and that's because they knock everyone down to zero. But you're making a different case, like an incremental case in some sense, which is that governments, perhaps regardless of their ideological proclivities in the 20th century, as they've become more wealthy, they have incrementally devoted a larger part of their resources to incremental improvements in, you might think about it as investment in the future rather than redistribution, or investment in social capital, education and healthcare and those sorts of things.
Well, it's probably some combination. It's a combination of investment in public goods, because of course the whole society is better off if everyone's educated. Also insurance. People support a safety net. That's the most popular euphemism for social spending, because you never know whether it's going to be you or your mother or your brother who's going to be in need in the lottery of misfortune. And then part of it is charity. The modern conscience won't allow the little match girl to freeze to death,
right?
Or the Jodes to bury Grandpa by the side of Route 66. And so I think social spending has been pushed along by all three. Right. It hasn't necessarily, in some countries, it probably has reduced the Gini coefficient. In Western European countries, which have a more aggressive system of taxation than the United States or Canada. But more important than the Gini distribution is that it's reduced the number of people living in poverty, which I argue is the morally relevant measure in any case.
Yeah, well, those two things are complicated, because obviously you want to raise people out of abject poverty. I mean, that's a zero argument proposition, and that seems to be happening very rapidly. The question after that, I suppose, is to what degree does the remaining degree of inequality that's generated by productive capitalist systems also constitute a social threat? Because there is evidence, I think it was reviewed best in the Spirit level, that as inequality increases, rates of male homicide, for example, increase, and all sorts of other negative measures. So there's some weird interaction between raising absolute levels of wealth and ensuring that inequality doesn't, exceed some hypothetical optimum that needs to be considered in social policy. And
yeah, I cite some skeptical reanalyses of the data in the Spirit level, and probably absolute prosperity matters more than inequality in determining social health, such as happiness, crime, other kinds of social pathologies like drug addictions. It's not easy to tease them apart.
No, definitely not.
Countries like Sweden are very egalitarian, but they're also very rich.
Right.
Uganda are more lopsided, but they're also very poor. And so it takes a little bit of statistical wizardry to tie them apart. And my reading of the literature is that it's actually prosperity that is more important than inequality. But also, and this is a point that in the psychological literature was emphasized by Christina Starmans and Paul Bloom, that what people sometimes think of as an aversion to inequality, to people having different amounts, is actually an aversion to unfairness.
Right, to injustice.
That what really infuriates people is that they think that the people at the top have ill-gotten gains.
Right.
People, if they sense that the system is basically fair, that either greater effort, talent, or even luck result in an unequal distribution, an impartial lottery, for example, they're okay with that. It's cheating that really gets under.
Yeah, and people are really good at remembering cheating and recognizing it as well, and it sticks in the remember. Yeah, so there's something we could talk about for a minute, because there's there's political, what do you call, rumblings about the fact that I think a lot of this is generated by the radical left types, particularly on the campuses, that the system is rigged and that it's an oppressive patriarchy, and that the reason that people are at the top is because they played power games. And, it's this, my sense is that the construal is that we're ethnic or racial or gendered groups, and we're competing in the Marxist manner, and those who win have won because of oppression. But I know the literature on the relationship between individual differences and long-term life success in the Western world. And the literature is actually very clear. So intelligence seems to account for about 20% of the variance in long-term life success. And then trait conscientiousness accounts for perhaps another maybe 10 to 15%. And then there's smaller contributions of emotional stability and also of trait openness, which seems to be a good predictor of entrepreneurial ability. So it looks like in the West that you can attribute about 40 to 50% of the variance. Maybe that's a little high, but it's not a radical overestimate to the sorts of individual differences that are associated with productivity, because increases in IQ, and higher conscientiousness definitely make people more productive.
Bobby Kelly with Bill Burr and Joe DeRosa.
That was a good one. I saw it coming. I didn't think it was going to be good. It was actually good. Oh, folks is what did it. That was pretty fucking good.
I just watched John Fox on the Dangerfield special, and just to hear when he does that, whatever that fucking bit is with the kid with the name, I fucking love the joke. But just watching Dangerfield bring him up, John Fox.
Yeah.
He goes, "Okay, you ready, Johnny baby? All right, Johnny baby."
He was great. You know what sucks about him is I didn't like him enough when he was around, and now that he's gone, I'm like, fuck. Like I never paid attention to him. He was just that guy with a fucking dumb tie. Oh, no respect. But now I look
Dangerfield. I think it meant John Fox.
Who the fuck is John Fox?
John Fox,
Who's
legend.
That? Another guy I shouldn't even.
He's gone. Yeah, no,
really?
Just legend.
Is that the guy with the eye?
No, legendary road
guy with the he had a mullet and the mustache. He was the guy who would always be like, "Man, let me tell you something." Like he sounded like a wrestler.
Firemen with butt fucking in him. That's what he would start with.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you just get mouth to mouth? How do you think this got started?
I heard the craziest story ever about him, but the guy told it on a documentary so
listen to the Tom Rhodes podcast. It's the last one that he does before he passes.
Is that him?
Away.
The owner of the Punchline in Atlanta told a story in a documentary interview about John in the 80s. John Fox was banging one of his waitresses, and she got a DUI and got taken into jail. So 4 a.m, John gets the call, like, "I need you to bail me out." So he calls the fucking club owner because he didn't have a way to get there. And the club owner said they drove to the jailhouse to bail the chick out. And while they were waiting, they went and did coke in the bathroom at the police station.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it
Dude,
was a different time.
He has a million.
Dude.
I remember at the Atlanta Punchline. I forget how the fucking story went.
That's
he somehow was holding a dollar bill that somebody gave him, some form of cash, and some woman mooned him from the crowd, and he fucking stuck it in her ass. Finger first. And everybody laughed, including the woman, and that was it. That was like the 80s.
Oh, I wish I was back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Play that. Let me hear this guy. Play Rodney. I want to hear what Rodney. Bring it back to Rodney.
Put on your seatbelts, okay, folks? Here's John Fox. All right, ready for you now, Johnny, baby.
Johnny, baby. Look at those jeans.
Look at him wearing a hooded sweatshirt.
2 firemen are butt fucking in a smoke-filled room. The chief says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Sir, this man's got smoke inhalation." He said, "Well, give him mouth to mouth." He says, "I did. How do you think this shit got started?" So how many people think I look like Captain Kangaroo after a rough weekend, huh?
The 80s, baby.
80s.
Real fuckers, I'll tell you that. Breaking with my girlfriend this week. We're at that stage of the relationship where you know it's over, but you hate to lose that stereo. She's not that bright. She calls me up yesterday. She says, "John, the light bulb in the bathroom burned out. I don't know how to change it." I said, "First, you fill the tub with water." I call today, there's no answer. Hey, shit happens, you know. Take care of your bartenders. I was a bartender. You got to remember a lot of drinks. You got to deal with a lot of assholes. I was a bartender. This lady came in with a parrot on her shoulder. Walked in the bar, says, I will fuck and I will suck. I will fuck and suck everyone in this bar. If someone guessed what this parrot weighs, I said, 500 pounds. She said, close enough, mister.
He's old school, baby.
That's so. Hey, baby. That is so like 80s, late 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember that when we knew so many guys like that too. Back in the day, would have just. I mean, fucking jokes.
Yeah, it was jokes.
Jokes.
I got
Those are
jokes,
jokes,
folks. I got jokes here. I got jokes.
You know, what made us go to exposing ourselves so much?
Well, that was going on back then. It was just different guys. It was a weird sort of like.
You don't see any of that type of comedy really anymore. Well,
comedy's like music where it progresses.
Right.
So the thing is like if he came up in our era, he would be doing like a different version of that. Because like people listen to that and be like, oh my God, what the fuck? That's like your uncle telling jokes or something. It's like, no, that was just the 80s.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like music. I mean, if like all that fucking hair metal shit that I thought was, dude, this is fucking sick. I go back and watch it now. I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know.
Yeah, like what was I listening to the other day? Warrant.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I went to see them live. I remember fucking devil horning it at the Paradise. Just fucking rah.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Remember he looked at me, the lead singer with those big fat lips, looked at me and he went like this and I went, fucking yeah. It's the greatest thing of my life.
I don't know if they see if this was Warrant or something else that happened. He looked at me with his big fat lips.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking yeah. He mounted me, dude. She's only 17, Dad. I was thinking of Home Sweet Home. You did not see that band at the Paradise.
No, it was at the Paradise. No, the Paradise was
He
down.
always goes out. I saw him at the Paradise, dude.
No.
Paradise was like a 300-seat thing.
No, it was at
was Warrant?
South Boston. Remember in South Boston, it was all
it was-
rock
you-
clubs.
you-
What was
you-
the rock club over there?
It was the Channel.
The Channel. That's where I saw him. The Channel.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
I saw him at the Channel.
Yeah, that's it. The channel.
You know they had the Boston. Remember we did when Al and the Monkeys took a
You're
hot one.
hanging on to that fucking thing. All these years of doing stand-up, you need to hang onto a mic stand.
You remember we did the Rock of Boston show after Al and the Monkeys won the whatever the fuck it was, the Boston Comedy Right?
Right, yes. I was there.
Well, the year before,
Hey, that was a rough one, baby. I've never seen 3 young men ever thrown to the lions. Romans wouldn't have done what they did to those.
four
these guys.
young men.
4 young men, sorry.
That was the worst.
Dude, they won the Boston Comedy Riot, the WBCM, which was the big rock station.
But they had it at the Channel. No, they had it at the
Boston Garden.
The year before, they had it at the Paradise.
Right.
So that's a 300-seater. The next year, they changed it to the Boston Garden, 14,000 people.
No. Stitches. You wanted it Stitches.
The Rock of Boston show was at the
oh.
Paradise the year before. It was always at the Paradise. It got so big,
That's why they put you guys
they
there.
changed it to the Boston Garden. We won the Comedy Riot. They asked us to do the show, a rock show in front of 14,000 people as an improv
let me set
sketch
this
troupe.
up here. They had the main stage where like all these big bands from there. I remember the Spin Doctors. It was their first fucking tour.
Yeah.
Fish was closing.
Oh, Jesus.
But it was like big,
Yeah.
known fucking bands.
Blues
and then
Traveler
and
all
then
that,
yeah, and then they would have on while they were like changing the setup, so it would keep going. They had a smaller stage where the crowd would turn around and there'd be an acoustic act. And then now here's the Spin Doctors, and then this blah blah. So in one of those changeovers, they went to an improv group. This is where the Boston Bruins and Boston Celtics played. And there was 13,000 fucking people there.
Is it the Comics Come Home place? No, that's the basketball arena.
This place didn't exist. This was great, dude. Is you played the Garden, the original Boston Garden. That's fucking sick. But dude, they went out there and it was in like 2 seconds. People throwing shit at them.
We were the last changeover right after the Spin Doctors, right before Fish.
So funny.
And we were all in different colored shirts tucked in, like purple, blue, green,
They were an
yellow.
Improv group.
And and Dane Cook had the great idea. He goes, we should all turn around and squat down, and when they announce us, we jump and spin to the crowd. And for some reason, we thought that was a good idea. So they announced us, and we jumped up and spun
Oh, I must have blocked that out. I don't remember that part. I just remember walking out, and I'd only been doing comedy like a year, and I was just like, this is not going to go well. 6 months. Dude, you guys won it so fast. I started in March of 92. By August 92, these guys won the riot. And I just remember going like, this is an impossible situation. And I saw it, and I just sat there with my mouth open. When they started throwing the paper cups down from the upper deck, I mean, dude, they got a full facial on that one. Dude, and they were not on stage longer than 40 seconds. They came out, they said, hey, what's up? Everybody's like, hey, what's up? And then you went, root, and everyone went, root, like he was going to start singing. He just started doing these noises, and you saw in their faces like, what the fuck are we going to do? And you guys started doing, they were doing this bit where they did the Chinese karate movie where the lips are moving. They started to do that, which was a total visual joke.
Yeah.
You had to be able to see their lips.
To a stadium full of people on
in
acid.
front of 13,000 fucking people.
Everybody's on fucking mushrooms and acid.
And there was no like big screen to put them on.
We never did it with mics because we were in small rooms.
So you're holding mics and doing this?
We didn't understand that until that night when they were like, listen, these are your mics. We were like, yeah, but don't you have cordless mics?
Yeah, Bobby would sit there. Bobby would be going like, as Al would be going like, why do you do that? You fuck my daughter. Doing this really bad thing. And then he's going, just doing that in front of 13,000 people. And they were like, about a half a second. I was just,
Holy
he started throwing shit.
dude.
One guy in the front was going, kept going, what a dick. He kept going, keep going. You're doing great.
Oh, he did.
We love it.
That's great.
There was one guy. That's why
awesome.
We didn't just get off. We kept going because it was like,
Oh, you must have been on longer than that.
I gave a speech. You don't remember my speech? I gave a speech. I go, listen. I grabbed the microphone. I took my shirt off. And I go, listen. We know you didn't come here to see this. We know you came here to see rock and roll. The Spin Doctors. Fish. Give us 3 things that piss you off besides us before we leave. And we tried to do an improv. And I remember I looked at Dane's face, and he was frozen in the improv.
I was frozen. I was just watching it.
He was frozen. I remember a bead of sweat went over his eyebrow, into his eye, and over his eye, and down his cheek. And they started throwing
the
shit.
cups.
And we left. Yeah.
That is so funny to me that Boston, even in Boston, at a fucking hippie jam band concert, that they're still mad enough to throw shit.
But the thing
That's
was,
just so
it
funny.
wasn't really established that Spin Doctors. The Fish thing was the hippie vibe of it,
Yeah.
but that was that big thing where they were all scampering because all the heavy metal left and Nirvana came and everyone. So they just threw this hodgepodge thing together because even the lineup of bands didn't make sense. It was like everybody got their money like.
Jeffrey Gaines, remember him? He came out and sang.
Jeffrey Gaines? I remember Jeffrey Gaines.
Remember he came out solo guitar dude, black dude.
Yeah.
Dreads. He came out
on
and
the
sang.
stage you were on.
In what is that? In your eye, the light.
Yeah, he did an acoustic cover of that.
Dude, he did that at the Garden. Is the acoustic cover? He was in our dressing room. We shared a dressing room. It was fucking epic.
My buddy in college loved that version of that song.
Dude,
He
played that in front of all those people and murdered.
Yeah.
Murdered.
That guy was good. It was never my cup of tea.
I like him. I like him a lot. He was in we shared a dressing room. I remember he came.
He's sitting over there like you're Phil Spector. What gives a fuck what your cup of tea is?
You know?
Would you not get his name tattooed on your arm?
Right.
Tell you, he murdered, but he was not my cup of
Jeez,
tea.
Bill. Jeez.
I came from more of an avant-garde.
I'm a Ramones guy.
I don't know why you're coming at me. Just trying to enjoy a drink.
Phil, why don't you lay off?
It's so funny to get your perspective of it, because I mean,
No,
my perspective of it, I've told a bunch of times, but I couldn't believe to be in the audience and see people you know.
I just was thinking, oh no.
That was a make or break moment. That was when people were saying, "You guys have played. Oh my god, we won the comedy riot. We're doing this. If we pulled that off, which we could have never pulled it off, there was no way to pull that off. As a stand-up, maybe, but not as a comedy improv sketch group.
Even as
I don't even know
stand-up,
if you pull that off, they'd have to be the Reuben Kincaid there. This is before fucking YouTube. I mean, they're going to be a big stash, eh? For all your young listeners, that was the manager of the Partridge Family. You needed an agent type person
Reuben Kincaid.
that would have had to have been there, because I would feel like it would have been a bunch of people that were managing bands.
Nobody, but if the buzz around us, if we murdered at the Garden, because the buzz we had from winning the comedy festival or whatever it was, comedy competition, was huge.
I think you were a little in the bubble, dude.
What do you mean?
I don't think anybody knew you were there. I think everybody was doing what they needed to do.
That's so funny. I thought,
and then they dude, I'm telling you, I mean, these guys had combined maybe 4.5 years of stage experience.
Yeah.
And they sent them out there. It was almost, it was cruel.
Well, I was just going to
was
say,
a
you have
cruel
no
thing.
concept at that level in the business that sort of thing won't work. You'll feel fear and all that, but
we didn't know
the irresponsibility of the producers to just go, hey, fuck it, just do it.
well, they changed. Yeah, they
it's
changed
just-
it to
yeah.
the Garden because it was selling so well. And that when it was at, and they were like 14,000 people. You understand? We're in the back room. Our dressing room was the girls' bathroom with Jeffrey Gaines. So we were. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened. We had girls just coming in peeing, and everybody was hanging out, and it was just rock and roll. I remember I had my leather jacket. It was fun. We ate with the Spin Doctors. We had dinner with the Spin Doctors. It was like we didn't even
never saw a moment like that so heartlessly ripped away.
Yeah.
Oh man!
I mean, dude, it was. What did people do backstage?
After
Yeah.
I was ignored like I've never been ignored.
I just told the story when I got booed in Vegas. The look on your face when I got off stage, the look he had on his face. I remember he came running down the stairs. He just looked at me. He was like, "I can't even do the face." Like, and they were...
Tom Long with Tom Hanks.
Seems to be what's going on in all the
I
stories.
have not, even when I was young and was drawn to certain, the things that a kid is drawn to, I never quite bought the antagonist-protagonist structure of stories because I understood the mythic quest and stuff like that. I understand coming across a minotaur or a one-eyed cyclops and stuff like that. But I end up kind of feeling sorry for the one-eyed cyclops in some ways.
He's got his own set of problems.
Alone in that cave, and Ulysses says, "My name is No Man." Who blinded you, Cyclops? No man blinded me. Well, then we're going to leave you alone. I always felt kind of sorry for that, and I have never been drawn to those types. Once you begin to start reading and stuff like that, I wanted even then to read about human behavior, and I think that you get in, particularly when you start developing television stuff like that, conflict is a big thing. Where's the conflict? We need conflict, and I always say, okay, we're making a TV series about paratroopers in World War II. I think we know who the bad guys are. And I don't know that we need conflict amongst the guys, because I think conflict is kind of inherent in what they're going to do. So therefore, I don't think we need bad guys. We just need scared guys or pushy guys or guys who want to get laid. There's a lot of different kind of guys you can have, but you don't need to have conflict amongst them. And I think that is the great essence of human behavior. You can a lot of times you can trace this back to Hamlet, and I was in a production of Hamlet in 1977. I played Reynaldo. Thank you very much. Thank you. Reynaldo is the part that is cut from every production.
Well, I can't
Hamlet.
I'm trying to place him.
Reynaldo is a servant to the house of Polonius who was sent away to follow Laertes and keep him on the straight and narrow, and comes back and reports. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I got to watch Hamlet every night when I was doing this. And I said, if Hamlet didn't have this ghost of his father, he'd just be, there'd be no bad guy in this. His father died, his mom remarried, and, you could say that King Claudius, right? Claudius. I mean, he's got some desires for a wife. But by and large, this is not, this is just human behavior. People kind of screwed up and trying to, maintain a status quo and get on to the next day. And I think, how many times have you gone and seen a really, really, really good movie, even like a James Bond movie? Mm-hmm. And, a lot of fun, but eventually you have to have that scene where, the Drax or Lord Cabell or whatever their names are, says, "Before I kill you, Mr. Bond, perhaps you'd like a tour of my installation."
Yeah.
And it's like a bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy, and I always just thought it was just too easy, and it's not interesting enough.
It just, I can't tell you how much delight it causes me that you still run up against bad notes from Hollywood dum-dums.
Oh, dear Lord, Well, as soon as someone is, paying for it,
Yes.
they always say,
yeah.
"Where's the jeopardy? Can we have some conflict in here?
Raise the stakes.
And it almost all, Nora Ephron, this is Nora Ephron's, that it is so hard to make put a realistic woman in any movie because the executives will come up and say, could the wife say something like, "When are you coming home?" to the guy who is flying to the moon. Or parachuting in behind enemy lines. Yes, I know you trust your training. And I know this is something you have to do. But as your wife, I just want to know, when are you coming home? And so Nora, she was one that would just stay away from all that kind of stuff. And so I'm not. There is a desire for a what's the word? Bullet point sensibility of what the conflict is, and that's the great stories don't bother with that.
Life is the conflict.
Getting on to the end of the day is the how do you get to the end of the day and
get into the Aratani Theater
and feel good about yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, wouldn't you love to see a movie that just all takes place in a series of cars during the 3.5 hours it takes you to get from the other side of the 405 to downtown? You would be able to touch on the human condition and not. And honestly, no one will let you make that movie unless the cars stop and everybody gets out and dances on the hoods of their car. That's the only way they let that traffic jam movie happen. And yet, you could have nervous breakdowns. You could have somebody who lost their medicine. You could have a guy fleeing the car. You could have all sorts of great stuff in that car.
It's the Odyssey.
All you'd have to do is find that abandoned piece of freeway and put 600 cars in it that do not move. That's it, except from here to there.
Yeah.
I always love that.
Sold.
Yeah.
Well, that raises a couple of questions that I meant to ask. There's one story that was just delightful. It's called A Junket in the City of Lights.
Oh, yeah.
And
has anybody read the hardback?
I strongly recommend
thank you.
it.
Oh, thank you. All right.
A lot of them.
The rest of you are a bunch of cheap.
A lot of them got booked, and you.
Yeah, you got your free book now, don't you? Yeah.
And you signed the vast majority.
I did. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is one thing I learned. So you've written books, you published books?
I've done some writing.
All right, do they
magazines.
say, well, Tim, a signed book is a sold book. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And is it your experience that that's true?
Oh, yeah, I have the plays by Shakespeare have all been signed by William Shakespeare.
Sure.
Why I bought the Folger editions.
Keep
in the first
being you.
place. Yeah. I have all Eugene's plays. Eugene O'Neill's there signed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that story, which is about a young actor experiencing his first press junket. I mean, I read that and I thought, oh my God, even Tom Hanks hates his fucking job sometimes. And I just found that so hopeful. So tell me more about the misery that is your life.
Well, understanding when you're going out to promote any movie, you must understand, it is commerce.
Sure.
You might as well be rolling out new Coke or a better brand of Tide.
As opposed to the art we're peddling.
Yes. You know, pick it up, read it, don't. And there is a huge industry that is based on showing up and covering it, whether they've seen the movie, like the movie. It's just business.
Sure.
You know. And I think the desire for you, as you're one of the artists in there, is you want to somehow represent why you made the movie in the first place, the work that you put into it, and some support of the end result. And there's just people that just don't give a shit about that coming out of your mouth, and I get that. That's fine.
Right.
But when you are given a list of bullet points from the studio to say, here's how we'd like to sell this movie.
Right.
Study these bullet points that will tell you about the character you played.
Gosh.
And will tell you what your movie is about and why you made the movie. You know, and what it means. And they will all end up having kind of like catchphrases in this, you know. It's like you start using the catchphrases that experts in the marketing department whose job it is to promote movies will tell you. We're trying to promote this now as an argument between science or God. I said, well, that's funny. You know, I never saw the movie as being a question about science or God. We understand that, but that's the way we're promoting the movie.
Gosh.
So it's like you have all this kind of pressure on you, and nobody prepares you for the soul-sucking, self-loathing experience you will have of trying to talk about your movie and yourself to an endless parade of people who don't care what you have to say for 6 minutes a pop.
Bring it.
They don't care.
Right.
They don't care. A handful will. And when you see them, like Patrick Stoner from Philadelphia, when you see him, you love him because he loves movies and he's going to ask you some important questions. But all the rest of it is like, you have done 829 6-minute interviews, and you're going to have a snack for 10 minutes, and then you're going to come right back and do some others. And you've got somebody who has flown in, and he knows everybody there, and he doesn't have a cigarette, but he might as well.
Sure.
You know. And it's like, come like, so here we are. We're talking to Tom Hanks about his new movie. So, Tom, tell us about your new movie. And you've been doing it for 9 days in a row. This is your 14th city.
Sure.
You've been yelled at and told what to say every minute of the day. You've been stuffed into cars and taken off and getting your photo taken and have people scream at you. And you can't even string together words with your lips anymore. It's like you think you're talking and you're out of sync with what you're actually saying. And a guy who's number 129, and by this is going to go on, it's going to be seen by everybody who watches the TV monitors at the gas station. Hello, here I am, an eye on Hollywood for Union 76 TV. And you're going to be that big. And he says, so, tell us about your new film. So you can just see everybody is just kind of like going like this. Oh, hey, there's Tom Hanks, and he's talking to me from the gas station right there. So this is one of the outlets that they have to say, and you're going to have to explain something about, well, what it really is we're trying to ask the question of what's more important, science or God. And it doesn't make, none of it is even remotely connected to what you did, but you're plugged into the process like an ongoing campaign. And the guy in here is not unlike a guy with the first time they send you off. You think, hey, you get a free trip out of it, you get some stuff, and all you have to do is give some interviews. 24 hours later, you want to shoot yourself in the head for coming along on this thing. And you literally just got to tough it out.
And they're feeding him these phrases like, what was the kiss like? It was a kiss.
Always the same question. Let me tell you something. I made a movie called Charlie Wilson's War.
Great.
That was
great.
This was great. Joey Diaz with Andrew Schulz.
I remember her saying that. And I think that's been my competitive advantage, is like I have delusional thinking. Like I really, truly believe I can do these things that are unrealistic, and then I'm only competing with people who are also unrealistic.
Where'd you go to high school?
This Baruch College campus high school. It was like inside Baruch College.
And did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Santa Barbara out here.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you major in?
Psychology.
And when did you decide to get into comedy?
I was managing a restaurant while I went to school, and they had a comedy night.
Here
in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And like a bunch of guys, like the LA guys, like I remember Sebastian coming up and performing in this fucking restaurant. Like I remember a bunch of guys, like I remember Tig Notaro coming and performing. Like it's crazy to see, who's ended up, blowing up from the people that perform in this shitty little restaurant. And then they asked me if I wanted to try it one time, and I was like, yeah, I fucking always loved comedy. Like I bought the Def Comedy Jam, like cassettes, that scam way back in the day.
Yeah,
like
Def Comedy Jam.
Bro, you give your dad's credit card, and then they just keep on sending you these cassettes. So like we just had all these cassettes, but I was like obsessed, and like watching the Kings of Comedy, that kind of stuff. Like obviously Delirious, and I just thought it was so cool. And then they asked me to try it, and I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a try.
Up here in Santa Barbara.
Up here in Santa Barbara. And I came back like a month later, and then I just started back up in New York.
And what did it feel like when you started?
I just loved it. I loved it. Like, I just loved the problem of it. Like, you couldn't control anything. It was like basketball. I grew up playing ball, and like the rim was always going to be 10 feet, and the ball was always going to be the size of the ball. And like, if I could get open, I can practice enough where I can hit that shot, or I can practice enough where I can get by guys. But with comedy, it was like, it doesn't matter how much you practice. You don't know what the fuck the rim is going to be like that day. You don't know what the fuck the ball is going to be like that. Everything changes. So it was like this constant problem. It's like, how do I control all these different things at one time? I just fucking loved it.
I have an anecdote. I always crack jokes, and I go, I'm 56. I got one foot in the grave, one a banana peel. But the truth of the matter is, I got one foot in the grave, but I'm still learning something every day.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of regular people listen to this, and a lot of comic people listen to this. And I tell a lot of young comedians not to be in a rush, that it's a journey.
Yeah.
And the journey is the best part because you get to find the treasure that is life. Life is a fucking treasure.
But that shit is so hard. Like, it's like, how like every rich person says money doesn't make you happy, and every poor person's like, man, once I get some money, I'm gonna be happy.
Right.
It's like my mom would say the same shit to me because she was a 3-time U.S. ballroom dance champion. Like, so in her field, she was like the best, and she would always say, the journey is the best. Like, enjoy. I come home from sets and bombing and just having like a whole bunch. She'd be like, listen, this is the best part
of your life.
This is the most exciting. And even now, when I look back on it, and now I'm having all this success, like I still remember like diner hangouts. You know what I mean? After spots, like just me and like the guys I started with, just fucking roasting each other at a diner, Veselka, 2 a.m. Like those are the memories that like stick with me for some reason.
How long did you have a day? Did you keep a day job while you were doing comedy?
I did. I was probably not doing. I lived with my parents for as long as I could, but I was probably doing a day job for the first maybe 3 years, and then I just kind of lived off scraps and then nothing. I would get like a little gig here or there, and then like the second I could, maybe a college gig would pop up, and I would just kind of like live off, $5 a day or $10 a day eating falafels for, 2-3 meals if I could. And then eventually some things start to happen. And then, I got one thing, I got the next thing, and I could make just enough. And if I had to rent out my room in my apartment, I would do that. But it was just, how do I focus all my time on comedy? I had some savings from working. Like my whole hustle with comedy was I had some savings from working in college. And I was like, I'm going to spend all that money. And hopefully by the time I'm at zero, I'll make money doing comedy. So I just invested everything I had saved my whole life into learning how to do comedy.
I always see these people that invest in the stock market or gamble. And I always tell people, if you're going to gamble, gamble on yourself.
Yeah.
I've always gambled on me, and I've always bet on me. And to be honest with you, I've always been the underdog.
Yeah.
And I've known this when I walk into the room.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me fucking bouncing.
Yeah.
But you've taken the hustle in a different way.
You got to do it, man.
And there's not too many people that get the system. You become an open micer, you fight, you start getting a little bit, and all of a sudden Comedy Central or somebody gets involved, and then you scrap, then something good happens, and then nothing happens for a while.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, my agent's going to help me, or my manager's going to help me, or my friend said, and at the end of the day, the only person that could help you is you.
Yeah.
You have to sit down, evaluate where you are, grab a notebook, and set out a plan.
That's it.
And stick to that plan.
Yeah.
And whether your mother dies, whether your dog gets hit by a car, that thing gets executed. And you do it enough, and it just becomes secondary. And next thing you know, I think that 90% of people don't stick with things because they don't see the results the first year.
They need it quick.
They need it quick. And
yeah,
that's what this journey taught me. I had no patience. I want that pussy now. I want that grandma Coke now. I want that pork fried rice now.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. But by the time I got into comedy, I was 32. And I had already been beat up by life. I had already been to prison, you know. So I was like, if I do this, I'm going to do this the right way. I asked 1,000 questions. I got a job.
Yeah.
As like a door guy at a club. I asked 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
I knew. The other day somebody wrote, restock your shirts. You could make more money. And I'm like, if I wanted to make money, I would have got into selling cocaine.
Yeah.
When I got into this in the beginning, from day one, I always said, there's not going to be any money.
Yeah.
And that's what made this journey for a guy like me even better, because I'm like everybody else.
Yeah.
I was waiting to get money to make me happy.
Yeah, you can't get good at money. That's the thing I realized. Like, money isn't a skill, right? So it's like, I can't get good at that. I can get good at a skill, and I've realized, at least, wherever there's greatness, there's money. Like, you could be the best at darts, and that motherfucker's making money. Nobody that's the best at something isn't making some money. So my feeling was like, I'm just going to do the shit I love, and money will find it.
Money will find it.
But I never... And the other thing is, like, I realized, like, if I'm kind of, like, maniacal with my work ethic, like, but I gotta love it. So my feeling was like, I'll just do the shit that I love, and then I'll work my ass off on it. And I know I can outwork you. You know, even if you're better than me or you're more gifted than me or something like that, like, it's just, I'll outwork you. But I can only do that if I really love it. So I know I love stand-up more than anything. So I don't mind, grinding as hard as I like. Tomorrow I'm gonna take a flight at midnight to New York. I land at 9 a.m. I'll do 2 podcasts, and then I hop on a flight to Russia. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people just won't do that. A lot of people will be like, I'm gonna be tired. So I'll just subtract tired. I'll subtract a lot of shit that's fucked up. Like, I haven't seen a lot of my friends' kids. It fucking sucks. But, like, there's certain things you got to sacrifice if you want to be great at things.
You didn't get put on this planet to look at kids anyway. You're gonna look at your own kid when you have your own
That's
kid.
for Epstein.
That's the honest to God truth.
Yeah.
I've been watching you. I've been watching your movements and stuff, because I love watching. I love. You don't learn, but you learn by watching. Let me see what Richard Jennings doing. Let me see what this guy's doing. Let me see what this guy's doing. Oh, this guy's putting $200,000 into a special that he really fucking thinks he's gonna sell. Good luck, fucko. You watch, and I just figured out your whole game. Number one, you're a psych major. Number two, you're an old hoopster. And when you're an old hoopster, you always know one thing. That guy is practicing right now. That guy right now is in it, because with basketball, you can practice all day.
All day.
With me at night, I go home and sit on the wall and practice my defense on the wall and do burpees. And I dribble everywhere, all over the fucking house. And I go in the yard and do figure eights. And I had a backboard, and I do, what was the Madden drills? What was his name? What was the rebounder that you just kept...
Rodman.
No. Before him in the 50s.
Like the Hoosiers?
Like some guy had a drill. The something drill. You go from one side of the basket to the other, and I do that for 3 fucking hours. When you play, and that was your mentality 100%. With basketball. If you're not doing it, that other motherfucker's doing it.
100%.
You're sleeping, that dude's doing jumping jacks. That dude is jumping right now, working on his vertical so he could block your shit.
Yeah.
So that was my mentality when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'd watch a fucking I still remember watching like the old Knicks. Like Walt Frazier and Earl Monroe, and I'd watch how Walt Frazier would walk up to you and turn you, and Earl Monroe would just pick your pocket. In those days, they were allowed to put their finger,
pinky on a defender.
Finger. So they would go like this. Let's say you didn't even see it. Watch this.
Yeah.
Let's say when the Knicks were playing the Celtics, and you had to cover white boy. What was his name from the Celtics? Havlicek, right?
Yeah,
I'm talking the 70s. They would go like this, but they would hold your shirt in a way. See, the ref can't see that. The camera can't see that right now. But you're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
That gives me a minute. They would do the dirtiest things to you.
Yeah.
They would put their hands in your shorts.
Yeah.
And guard. That's why it was called, what was it called? Hand guarding.
Yeah, hand checking. Yeah,
hand
yeah.
checking.
Yeah, yeah.
They wouldn't hand check you. They would they would take your shirt and wrap it under their finger.
Yeah.
So they really had one finger out and three out. It was fucking amazing to see, like, all the tricks that you could do. But anyway,
Yeah.
see, that's the school of thought you came from. You
For
came
sure.
from the fucking,
Sports, man.
If he's not doing it, I'm going to be doing it.
I used to rewrite my set every night. When I first started, I would rewrite it every night. I'd just go, oh, that didn't work. Let me change it. I didn't understand in the moment that like you could perform it better. I thought there was something wrong with it. So I was like, I'm going to fix it. I read every single book. I used to transcribe. Dude, I was psycho. Like, I would transcribe whole specials and just try to understand what the joke was. How did he get from here to there? The premise. Like, I would just.
What were the specials you transcribed?
Chappelle, man. I was obviously Rock. I mean, I read Rock's book, but I was really trying to understand, like, jokes. I was like, some people understand it. I was like trying to understand opening and the value of opening and like why setting a tone early can, lead to something. And like, I would disagree with a lot of conventional wisdom, but I wouldn't understand why just yet. Like everybody always say like, open up agreeable and all that kind of shit. And like, I always felt in my heart that if I opened up like nice or sweet, and then I gave them who I was, who's, kind of challenges conventional thinking, like I always felt like I was lying to them. And they would resent that. So, like, I learned later on that it's like I should open up as hard as I possibly can.
Absolutely.
Because if I can get them to laugh at that,
absolutely,
everything else is fair game.
That's it.
But it takes a lot of fucking bombing and people throwing candles at you and shit to, like, get there.
One-on-one with Mark Maron and Dax Shepard.
We would go to Toronto occasionally because it's
Right.
a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
Single mother would take us 3 kids to Toronto.
Single mother.
Yes. And we would think, oh my God, it's like Detroit, but it's clean and the windows aren't broken.
Oh, you ever go to Niagara Falls and go to the Canadian side? You're like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like you go to the Canadian side and you can look over the water at the end of the world when you sit down.
Uh-huh.
It's so sad.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So where was your dad?
My dad, when I was 3, they got divorced.
Oh.
He was a car salesman who was also an addict. He drove a red Corvette and did tons of blow and banged young girls.
Corvette blow young girl guy.
Uh-huh. He would take us, our weekends with him were spent at a bar called the Dirty Duck in Walled Lake, Michigan. And we would go in the winter, and he would drive up there in his Corvette. My brother and I would share one seat, the passenger seat. It's not a family car. And we would go inside, and he would, from 10 a.m. till midnight, he would just work the broads at the bar with his 2 kids. We'd play Pac-Man and eat chili dogs. And then invariably it would snow while we were in there because it's Michigan.
Yeah.
And then we would drive home with him in a blackout through 6 inches of fresh powder in a Corvette with some dingbat following us who would also invariably get thrown into a ditch, and we'd be on the side of the road. I mean, it was a fucking circus, these weekends with him.
Oh, my God.
And then Sunday, he'd like, he'd have some come to Jesus moments and cry a little bit. I mean, it was
apologize.
Yes, it was something else. But the upside,
Did he do blow in front of you?
Not that I know of.
Oh.
No, I don't think so. But the upside was so I had a mother who was a janitor on midnight shift at GM, supporting 3 kids on her own. And then I had this swinging dick car salesman dad. So when we go to his house, we got to order pizza. He had a vet. He had a VCR. He had on TV.
Strange women were there.
Chicks everywhere. So it did help.
You saw both
it was the
worlds.
silver lining.
The silver lining was
you got to eat Oreos there and drink pop and do all that stuff.
Well, Dad needed a lot of approval. He had a lot to prove.
He definitely bought his way out of a few pinches with us.
Still alive?
No, he died last year.
Oh, really? Sorry to hear that.
No, it's not. It's not a bad story. I mean, it's obviously bad because he died, but
Yeah.
it's the good version of someone dying.
Oh, really? He just dropped dead?
No, see, I think that's the bad version of mine. This was August. He calls and says, this thing in my neck is cancer. I have small cell carcinoma. End of December, he's dead. So I had basically 3 straight months where I knew he was going to die. I got to be of service I took care of all the medical stuff and went through the whole thing with him. And it never got ugly. He kind of got over the finish line without all the gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
So all in all, it was as good as I think you can get.
Now, when you say,
and we had some shit to go through, you know.
Well, that's interesting to me. So you have a lifetime. Well, what? Well,
he got sober. I should add that. You know, he got sober when I was 14. Yeah, 14. He went to treatment and then never relapsed.
Well, it seems
he died 30 years sober or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 25 years sober.
Okay. Well, let's. I think that we should come around to that.
Okay, great.
Because
you want to circle back to that.
Well, in my mind, the story is that you grow up in this environment. Mm-hmm. Your mom's busting her hump to feed you and your brother. Well, you got brother and sister.
Yeah, older brother, younger sister.
And your dad's this playboy car salesman. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine. Pretty cheesy.
I bet your imagination's exactly
about
what he
right?
was. Yeah.
Because what is it? The late 70s.
He wore Johnny Carson suits. He was balding. He was 300 pounds. He got tons of ass.
300
Yeah, he smoked Vantage menthols.
Vantage.
Yeah, 100s.
Rough cigarette.
He ate like a maniac, and he was everything you would imagine. He had a huge personality. He fought a lot of guys.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes in the bar...
Even in sobriety, he got into regular shoving matches at Costco. When I would come visit, he would pick fights at the gas station.
Chip on his shoulder. A little embarrassing.
Yes, felt very much like everyone was attacking
Scary
him.
Guy, in a way.
Yep.
So, all right, so you grow up in this environment. When do you start getting interested in acting?
I wasn't interested in acting per se. I always hear actors in interviews say like they knew they wanted to be an actor at 12 in Minnesota or whatever. I just don't get that. I had never met an actor. I don't know why you would have thought you could be an actor. That's fucking preposterous.
No, but movie star is not...
That would be like, I'm going to assemble the Great Wall of China. That's not what happens in Detroit.
But it's not an unusual fantasy for people to want to be an actor.
I guess. You're right. I do think my wife, who also grew up in Michigan, she somehow had a sense of that. But I knew I was funny. I got in trouble a lot in school. I was the class clown every year.
Were you partying?
No, I wasn't, because I didn't start really going for it till 18. I had 1 year in high school where I experimented, and then the cops immediately got involved. My mom said, you cannot do this, and I honored her wishes for 1 year. Then I graduated.
What'd you get busted for?
Oh my God! I wonder what the statute of limitations are.
It's over.
It's over. Yeah, I can tell this story.
I've had a situation on this show where I had to take something out because we weren't sure there was a statute of limitations.
I think at this point they would be as tickled that
it was you.
Yeah, maybe. I'd like to think so, because no one got killed or anything.
Let's give it a try.
I was in 11th grade. And I went to a graduation party with two friends that were seniors, a guy and a girl that were boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah.
We were coming home down a dirt road. We passed this dude's house, and the girlfriend of my friend said, he date raped me, that guy. And we said, we will administer justice now. And our version of that was we're going to give him a lawn job. And we went to give him a lawn job, but we were in my Mustang, and
What does that mean? You go on the lawn with the car and
you just fucking tear everything to shit. Yeah, they wake up in the morning, it looks like a ditch witch went through there. So
this is the guy's parents' house, so basically.
Exactly. And again, at 16, you don't realize you're not hurting the kid. You're hurting the dad who's going to deal with it. Anyways, we pull into the driveway. Well, they have a big gate. So my friend's like, just bump it and see if you can take it
you guys
down.
had been fucked
We're
up.
Mean, we're on the verge of blacking
When
out.
you're bumping gates.
Absolutely. In your car, which I worked hard to get. It wasn't bought for me. I bought this car.
It was a Mustang?
A Mustang GT. I was super into drag racing. And this car was my pride and joy.
What year was that?
84 GT. This was in 92.
Okay. Fast car.
It was a very fast car. And I am, for some reason, on her word, ramming this gate with my car. Well, I don't do anything to this gate. So we go back to my friend's house, which is a mile down the road. Yes, they're home. It's like Friday night at 1 and 2 in the morning. So we go to my buddy's house, which is a half mile down the dirt
Everyone
road.
knows this car, I'm sure.
Everyone certainly knows this car.
Yeah.
We're not even to the meat of this fucking story, which is... We get to his house. He has a monster truck. He has a jacked up mud bogging. I told you I lived in hillbilly heaven. 44-inch mudder tires, big fucking bumpers.
Yeah.
He goes, in the truck. We're going back. I'm like,
committed to the plan.
We get in the truck. The girlfriend, him driving, now me in the passenger seat. We go back. Well, what we don't anticipate is that all my ramming of the gate woke the whole family up.
Sure.
So he's approaching the gate, and I tell him, don't just give it a nudge. Don't go fall guy. And as I'm saying this, he's full throttle. We ram through this gate, come flying down the driveway. The dad's in the driveway with the flashlight. He dives out of the way. The whole family's on the porch. He proceeds to give this crazy lawn chop, almost hits the dad.
So he's spinning around on the yard?
Kicking mud everywhere, driving through flower beds. I mean, ruining this house.
Yeah.
And, God damn it, telling this story makes me think I owe like a financial investment.
You might.
Every time I tell a story, this ends up this way. It just happened yesterday. Anyways, so all's going fine. It's a successful lawn job. We're leaving the driveway. It's a pretty long driveway.
It was witnessed.
It was witnessed, but hold on. We're not in trouble yet. Because we came up the driveway with such speed that the dad jumped out of the way. He never could have gotten a license plate. The other folks on the porch, it's 2 a.m. It's pitch black out. They wouldn't have got shit. We're coming back down the driveway, and the gate that he hit is now bent towards us. And as we cross that gate, it gets hung up on the back wheel and gets ensnared around the axle. And we come to a grinding stop. And now the dad's on his feet with the flashlight, and he's running towards the truck. And now my friend is putting in reverse and drive, and I'm like, we are fucked. The dad is going to be opening this door in a second. And by some miracle, he got traction, and we ripped this whole fucking gate out of the ground and drug it down the dirt road. And half a mile down the dirt road, the gate ripped off, just left in the road. We went back to his house, and we said, holy shit, what is our story?
Yeah.
So the story we concocted was...
someone stole the truck.
We were smart enough to know that the more people that are telling the story, the better the odds that we're going to get caught. So let's eliminate some angles.
So you had to kill the girl.
We killed the girl. We backed over her with the truck.
Yeah.
No, we took me out of the equation. What we said was we all went to a graduation party. I passed out cold, and they drove me home in my car. And then the girlfriend picked up her car, and then the car pulled back to her house. He's never been home that night. So we proceed with this story. They dropped me off at home. Next morning, this is too involved, but my mom's actually having a work function at our house. There's about 20 of her employees
The
out
next
front.
morning,
The
yeah.
next morning, and the police come at 7 a.m. to talk to me. They bought our story. Our story was someone joyrided his truck. I leave the keys in it. And I don't know that they bought it as much as maybe they just thought they couldn't prosecute us.
Right.
And we held strong to this story that I don't remember one thing. So my mom's story, I was so dedicated to this lie that I even had to tell her, Mom, I don't remember what happened last night. I went to this party and I passed out in the backseat of my car. And she's like, you're at a stage where you're passing out in the backseat of your car already and the cops are showing up. You cannot do this. You're done. Your experiment with this is over. You are your dad. We know this now. And you can't drink again. And I honored that. That was like end of 11th grade when you would graduate from school. And
What
then
happened with the truck?
And then, so the truck was, the whole bed of the truck.
No, but
was
it's done? That was it?
Yes, we all got off scot-free.
Huh. It's funny, the others...
Thank you, folks, for listening. Tune in next week for more podcasts of all podcasts.
Last one. A little more of a Queens of the Stone Age. Enjoy.
you.